Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. Some breaking news for you now this morning. Not only is Antony back, we're back very quickly after the morning show. This is how it rolls. Make sure you subscribe and smash a like because Antony is back for Manchester United into first team training. A statement has been released from Manchester United basically saying that they've confirmed that they've decided that Antony will resume training at Carrington and be available for selection while police inquiries proceed. Now, there will be a reaction to this. We've been through this situation recently with Mason Greenwood. Every case is different. We'll delve into why that is in a moment. But the key thing is Manchester United have made their statement. And remember, I tweeted this 2 weeks ago. I've been talking about it over the last 2 weeks on the show here and there. My belief was that Antony was going to be back a lot sooner than people thought. And I tell you what, he's actually back sooner than I thought. I was thinking maybe by international break. He's back now. Since allegations were first made, this is the statement from Manchester United. Since allegations were first made in June, Antony has cooperated with police inquiries in both Brazil and the United Kingdom, and he continues to do so. As Antony's employer, Manchester United has decided that it will resume training at Carrington and be available for selection while police inquiries proceed. This will obviously be kept under review pending further developments in the case. As a club, we condemn acts of violence and abuse. We recognise the importance of safeguarding all those involved in the situation and acknowledge the impact the allegations have on survivors of abuse. The lines between football and Manchester United are blurred yet again as Manchester United have to respond to very serious allegations against another footballer. But there are key differentials here. There is stuff that can be disclosed publicly and there is stuff that cannot be disclosed publicly. And as somebody who has seen, and we tweeted some stuff out a couple of weeks ago that I'm sure you saw that was received as being quite controversial at the time. I never spoke about them on the videos, but obviously we did tweet some stuff out that got picked up on. So-called, I felt a few people did it from a jealousy point of view. Oh, they better know what they're doing, tweeting stuff like that out. Well, we did know what we were doing because we know where it was coming from. And effectively, I just think that what is very clear here, and I'm not going to get myself into any big trouble either, what is very clear here is that Manchester United's stance is obviously very similar to our stance when we were putting that information out there, that this is not similar to the Mason Greenwood case. This is not a matter where Antony is, potentially going to be going to court anytime soon or be charged, which is what happened with Mason Greenwood. And therefore, look, to be very, very blunt, the Mason Greenwood case, one night you're going to bed, you see audio and pictures. The next day he's arrested and he ends up getting charged. Very, very different situation to this, where again it's been trial by media with people putting stuff out there, but ultimately he's spoken to the police in Brazil, he's spoken to the police in the UK. Manchester United are obviously informed about all of this, and they feel comfortable taking on that risk to their reputation, because that's what it is, that Antony is okay to play. You've got to remember as well, Manchester United were going to bring Mason Greenwood back. Like, that was the plan. Adam Crafton in The Athletic put that out there. Richard Arnold's plan was to bring him back. And then the reaction to that was why they changed their mind. So, look, this is thin ice. Things could change. But do I think Man United have made the right decision? Thankfully, I'm not. Well, let's run a poll. Let's run a poll on it. Should Antony be back? Yes or no? I think I know which way this will go. But, thankfully, I don't need to give you an answer to that because I'm not the CEO of Manchester United and it's not my decision as to whether he comes back or not. As I say, my feeling is that these allegations aren't going to go anywhere. And therefore, I think Manchester United probably feel the same and know or hope or are fairly sure that nothing's going to happen. And therefore, if he is suspended for 6 months, not playing football, and then nothing happens, they've lost 6 months of a player that's on 200 grand a week that obviously adds something to the squad. There's always a risk, of course there is, but I think the circumstances are very different, and I think that United have made a decision which, hot on the heels of the Mason Greenwood one, I'd be stunned if they don't feel that they're on strong ground, that nothing is ultimately going to happen. The big thing for me is that whether it's Antony or any other player for Manchester United, at some point our squad, and I know a lot of them do anyway, have got to take the warning signs. Like there are ways to conduct yourself in private, and I don't think that look, it's not for us to judge, but I just think professionalism in your private life, that's what's needed. Let's be honest, these footballers are a magnet for attention. Whether they're walking down the street and people want a photo with them, or they're in a nightclub and people want to dance with them or more. You can't, in that situation, as a professional footballer for Manchester United, whether it's sad or not, you can't be putting yourself in situations where you're liaising with strangers on a regular occurrence. You have to put people around you that you can trust. You have to put people around you that are professional. And as I said on the morning show, it might only be for 5 years of your career. What's 5 years? Focus on what you're doing and don't fall into the traps of what can go on in people's private lives, because it's damaging this football club, and it's damaging these players as well, and it's damaging those people who are attached to these players. Hopefully this is going to be the last for Manchester United. I think they need to put a hell of a lot of work with their young players and their current squad into what they're doing in their private lives. Now, football is moving along. We've got, sports science, psychology, diet. I think there needs to be something about morals and manners as well, because I just think we just seem to be falling into these traps a little bit too often for me. And obviously a lot of footballers are very arrogant and up their own arse because they live in a bubble. They're a victim of circumstance in many ways. But I think Man United need to step up to the plate here. We're not just a football club. We're getting drawn into all sorts of stuff. We're not just a football club. We deal with brands and making money in many different ways. And I think that these people, when they signed for Manchester United, it's about time we started signing people that really understood what Manchester United's all about. And the problem with that is the ownership model, isn't it? What are we? But we almost need some principles instilling into the club, and I think Ten Hag will do that. And in no way am I saying Antony doesn't have those principles. I'm not individualising it, but I'm speaking in a general sense that we can't keep having these things. You almost feel with Man United what's going to be next, and we can't keep having it. Hopefully Antony comes back and cherishes the opportunity he has here, seeing his future has nearly been taken away from him. I hope he can kick on, says V. Well, look, in a footballing sense, I've always really liked Antony, and I always said that this season was massive for him. Second season, first season wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. Needs to get back on that training pitch. He will obviously be getting some stick from rival fans, 100%. Away grounds will be booing him and getting on at him. Any little angle an away fan can give against a player that's playing against them, they will go for that. That's going to happen. Let's not pretend it's not going to happen. He'll have all sorts of stuff shouted at him. He's a very temperamental player. Some would say petulant. I think that makes him work hard. But he's got a lot of growing up to do, Antony. He's got to remove the petulance, which we've seen on the pitch. They're going to target him. I don't know what it's like on the football pitch anymore. I don't know whether these sort of things go on, but you speak to certain players from 10, 20 years ago, and I guarantee you they would be in Antony's ear saying all sorts of stuff to try and wind him up. It's like mum jokes, isn't it? We used to do it when I used to play football. You'd be in the ear of the striker saying, "Is that your mum on the side?" And it wasn't. It was a dog or something like that. Very horrible stuff to say, but you're trying to get into the mentality of a player to make them not perform. So Antony's going to have all of this in the coming weeks when he plays for Manchester United. And as we've seen with Antony, even before all this, he can be quite petulant. So there's a lot of growing up to do. He's going to get targeted. He needs to channel that. We need to lose the consistency, and it could be the making of him, and hopefully it will, because I think he's a good footballer. I like him as a footballer. I think he has been a bit inconsistent, but I like him as a footballer. And, I must say, somebody said it in the chat, I'm not going to ignore it, a penny for Jadon Sancho's thoughts. Well, Jadon Sancho's got nothing to do with this, and I think everybody wants to throw Jadon Sancho into absolutely everything. But you know what? All I would say about the Sancho scenario is that's why he shouldn't have done the tweet, because there was a window of opportunity for Sancho and he blew it. Like, literally, Antony got suspended after that Arsenal game, and Sancho could have been in. That could have been his opportunity for the last 2 weeks, and he isn't. So look, at the end of the day, I don't think there's a way back for Sancho anyway. It certainly gets a lot harder with Antony being back. But when do we think Antony will be back for Manchester United? It really depends on what his fitness is. I don't think he's back for tomorrow. I think that's way too soon. Galatasaray on Tuesday might be perceived as being a little bit too soon as well. But, you know, he could well be part of the Brazilian squad in the internationals. I would hope not. I think he needs to focus on his fitness. But I'd say he's probably going to be back for the Brentford game, maybe even back for the Galatasaray game, because he's not injured. He's been out for about 3 weeks, so there'll be some sort of fitness issue there. But, you know, Ten Hag threw Antony in to the Arsenal game for his debut when he hadn't been training with Ajax. So I think, you know, he's back training. That's the bottom line. Antony is back training with Manchester United first team, and he's available for selection. That's the line from Manchester United. We've had nearly 5,000 votes. 83% of you agree with it. And, you know, we need him now. Look, from a Manchester United point of view, and that's what we're here to talk about, it makes it very interesting because we're talking tomorrow about whether Mason Mount will play on the right or whether Bruno Fernandes will play on the right. Well, they are very much... we are very much in a scenario where the midfield is going to be really interesting, isn't it? Because you can't pick anyone. Antony to resume playing for Manchester United, interviewed by the police on Thursday, not arrested or detained, and free to leave without restriction. I just want to big up James Ducker here, because with all due respect to the Sun, I don't trust the Sun the same as I would James Ducker. This is key. This is where I can give you a bit of information. So I think the club have made the right decision now. And I'm going to go off James Ducker here. The club have made the right decision. I know they don't always make the right decision, but I think they've made the right decision here because this is the key information. I was talking about this on the morning show. There was this story from the Sun that Antony had been interviewed voluntarily by the police yesterday. And I said, look, when I was in the police, if somebody said they'd been assaulted, then I wouldn't be interviewing them voluntarily. You would arrest them because somebody has been assaulted. So the fact that he's not been arrested but interviewed by the police and he's not on bail, United have made the right decision. They're in safe hands, because if he's not arrested and he's not on bail but he's spoken to the police, Man United can quite comfortably say, well, hold on a minute. Somebody's made an allegation against him. He's voluntarily spoken to the police. They've not arrested him. He's not on bail. I don't even need to know what the allegation is. If I'm an employer and one of my staff members says to me, look, someone's made an allegation against me. I've been to the police. They've not arrested me. I've told them what's happened. They're going to look into it. I'd say, get back to work. That's the bottom line. You can't like the law and then innocent till proven guilty and then, oh, now he's done something. You've got to look at it, and that's a very stark line in the sand for any idiot who starts going, why did Greenwood get treated differently? Greenwood got instantly arrested, bailed and charged. Antony hasn't been arrested, isn't on bail, and has spoken to the police about it. I don't know what the allegations are. As I said, in my experience, if somebody comes to me and says, I've been assaulted, here's the pictures, here's my statement, then I'm going to arrest the other person so I can interview them properly and put them, through a proper process. The fact that hasn't happened would suggest to me that I don't think it's going anywhere, because they've not even gone as far as arresting him and bailing him. So very, very different. And I've got to say, on the basis of what I've just read from James Ducker, Manchester United clearly have made the right decision. And also, further to that, there will obviously be a lot of people who want to give him abuse and everything like that. But, there is an Arsenal player who is on police bail and has been arrested and played most of last season. Antony's not been arrested. He is not on bail. He has given a voluntary interview to the police. There isn't even a desire from the police to arrest him and put him on bail. So, you know, the standards of what we're talking about here, United have made the right decision. They have. You know, it doesn't mean it won't change in the future. They've said themselves they'll monitor it. If he gets arrested and bailed, then there's a different decision to be made. But I think there can be no argument with this. It's the right thing to do. That's the bottom line, isn't it? It's the right thing to do in the circumstances. And obviously we will see what happens in the future. Just have a look at some of your comments. So I don't know whether he's training today. Some people said, is he going to be back training today? Man United have got one training session ahead of the game tomorrow, so I don't know whether that's happening. But he is back. Yeah, he is back. Interesting what battle he'll face to get back into the team. Hopefully quite good competition. But as it stands, I don't think there's anything going on in Brazil. And he's not on police bail or been arrested in the UK. So realistically, you know, if he was working at McDonald's, people would say he can go and flip burgers. So why can't he be back playing football for Manchester United? You might dislike it, but that's just the scenario that we're in at the moment. So what are your thoughts? Antony should be nowhere near the team, says Harvey. Don't really know for what reason. He is training today, says Bakar. I mean, I would assume that he probably is, if United have put that statement out. Good morning from the US, Mark. Will Palestri's game time be affected by Antony coming back? Well, yeah, of course it will, because as we know, Ten Hag is a massive fan of Antony. He's very loyal to Antony, so he will obviously face game time challenges. I think that's, you know, fair to say. Look, this is a big season for Antony, and as unbelievable as the scenario has been that he's not been in the team because of what's been going on, in the cold light of day, it's like having a minor knock. He's basically had about 3 weeks out, so it feels a lot longer, but because of the international break, he's probably only missed about 2 weeks. So I think he goes straight back into that team when he's ready, because I think that's Ten Hag's priority. I think it makes it less likely that we'll use the diamond as well, which I do not want to see, so that's a positive. But the way I look at it here is that you've got Højlund and Martial playing for the striker position. You've got Garnacho and Rashford on the left-hand side, and that's a raging debate at the moment. And you've got Pellistri and Antony on the right-hand side. This is good. I mean, I think there's a bit of negativity because people want Pellistri to play, but this is good. This is what I was talking about on the show last night. Some people want Garnacho to play ahead of Rashford. I just look at it and go, I like Rashford, I like Garnacho, I like the competition. If Martial can stay fit, I like the competition between Martial and Højlund. And if Antony's back, I hope to see a competition between Pellistri and Antony. I like and embrace and encourage this. This is what I want to see. I want to see this sort of a competition in our team. Good morning from the... I've done that one. So look, look, you can have a favourite. I get that. But what I cannot control and wish I could is I want everybody to say, I like Rashford, I like Garnacho, who's going to win? You know, maybe Garnacho should be starting, but, you know, Rashford's a great player. I want to see people going, look, at the moment, I want Pellistri to play, but if Antony can come back and get firing, I can't wait to see that competition. Two very different right wingers. We're playing over 100 minutes every Premier League game now as well. We shouldn't and cannot play 100 minutes for one position. And Pellistri, whether Antony starts or not, could still be coming on for half an hour. Ahmad's got to come back into the equation as well, says Mohammed. So lots and lots of competition for Manchester United. And look, ultimately, it was a bit of a one when I went live. I was like, I don't really know the full details, but I think now at the conclusion, United have made the right decision. He's not on police bail. He wasn't arrested. It was a voluntary interview. He should be back training. Let's see if anything else comes of it. But ultimately, I expect Antony is back now and will be back, hopefully, for the rest of the season. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Oh, thanks, everyone who's gone and listened to the new podcast episode as well. Links in the video description. Play Goal Bridge, the best football game ever invented. That's on today's new podcast. I'll speak to you all a bit later. We've got Ten Hag's press conference as well, which will be very interesting because obviously you'll face a lot of questions about this, but I think we've more or less covered it. Take care, everyone. Speak to you in a bit.